All right, let's be real for a second. When was the last time you walked past a fast food place or street food vendor, frying something and didn't feel that pull? That smell hits you, and suddenly you're thinking about crispy fried chicken, golden French fries, or whatever's sizzling in that oil. Even if you just ate, even if you know it's not the healthiest choice, there's something about fried food that just hijacks your brain. And here's what's wild. It's not just you. It's not willpower. It's not some character flaw. There's actual neuroscience and evolutionary biology happening here that makes fried food basically irresistible to humans. Today, we're going deep into why fried food tastes so incredibly good. And I'm warning you now, once you understand what's happening in your brain when you eat something fried, you'll never look at French fries the same way again. The texture phenomenon. Let's start with the most obvious thing, the crunch. That crispy exterior is doing something special to your brain. Scientists at the University of Leeds did this fascinating study, where they found that texture accounts for a huge part of why we enjoy food, sometimes even more than taste itself. And when it comes to fried food, you're getting this perfect combination of crispy outside and soft inside that your brain is absolutely hardwired to love. Here's why. When you bite into something fried, you're experiencing what food scientists call textural contrast. Your teeth break through that crunchy coating and immediately hit the tender inside. And this contrast sends signals to your brain that light up the reward centers. MRI studies have shown that foods with multiple textures activate more areas of the brain simultaneously than foods with uniform texture. It's literally giving your brain more pleasure because there's more sensory information to process. But there's an evolutionary angle here too. Our ancestors didn't have fried food, obviously, but they learned that foods with varied textures, especially ones with a crispy exterior, were often cooked properly and safe to eat. That crunch became a signal of safety and nutrition, and we've carried that preference forward for thousands of years. The fat factor. Now let's talk about what's really happening with the fat, because this is where things get interesting from a biological perspective. Fat is one of the 3 macronutrients our bodies need, along with protein and carbohydrates. But here's the thing, fat is incredibly calorie-dense. 1 gram of fat has 9 calories, compared to 4 calories in a gram of protein or carbs. For our ancestors who didn't know where their next meal was coming from, high-fat foods were like hitting the jackpot. Your brain evolved to make you crave fat, because it was the most efficient way to get energy. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Investigation found that fat actually triggers the release of dopamine in the brain, the same neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. When you eat fried food, you're not just satisfying hunger. You're literally getting a hit of feel-good chemicals. And here's something most people don't know. Your tongue has specific taste receptors for fat. Just like you have for sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami, researchers at Washington University identified these fat receptors and found that people with more sensitive fat receptors actually crave fatty foods more intensely. So some of us are literally built to crave fried food more than others. It's in our genetics, the Maillard reaction. Okay, now we need to talk about what I think is the coolest part of all this, the Maillard reaction. This is the chemical process that happens when you fry food at high temperatures, and it's responsible for that incredible golden brown color and that amazing smell that pulls you in from down the street. When proteins and sugars in food are exposed to high heat, they undergo this complex series of chemical reactions that create hundreds of new flavor compounds. Scientists have identified over 600 different aromatic compounds that can form during the Maillard reaction, and each one contributes to that rich, complex flavor that makes fried foods so addictive. A study from the University of California found that the Maillard reaction creates compounds that our brains associate with savory, meaty flavors, even in foods that aren't meat. This is why fried potatoes, fried vegetables, even fried tofu can taste so deeply satisfying. Your brain is picking up on these flavor compounds and interpreting them as nutritionally valuable. And get this, the smell of fried food can actually make you hungry, even if you're full. Research published in Cell Metabolism showed that the aroma of high-fat foods triggers a physiological response that increases appetite and can override your body's natural satiety signals. So when you smell fried food and suddenly feel hungry, that's not in your head, it's a real biological response. If you're realizing right now that your fried food cravings have been a lot more scientific than you thought, do me a favor and hit that like button. Your support helps us keep diving into the fascinating science behind everyday experiences. The salt equation. We can't talk about why fried food tastes so good without addressing salt. Because let's face it, most fried food is pretty generously salted. And there's a reason for that beyond just flavor. Salt is essential for survival. Our bodies need sodium to regulate blood pressure, transmit nerve signals, and maintain fluid balance. But here's where it gets tricky. A study from the Monal Chemical Senses Center found that the ideal salt concentration for maximum palatability is actually higher than what our bodies need nutritionally. We're essentially programmed to want more salt than we require, probably because in nature, salt was relatively rare and our ancestors needed to take advantage of it when they found it. When you combine salt with fat, which is what happens with fried food, you get what researchers call a synergistic effect. Each component makes the other taste better. Scientists at the University of Nottingham discovered that salt actually reduces the perception of fattiness, making high-fat foods taste lighter and less greasy than they actually are. So that fried chicken doesn't just taste salty. The salt is actually masking how fatty it is, making you able to eat more of it without feeling overwhelmed. The temperature trick. Here's something you might not have thought about. The temperature of fried food plays a huge role in why it's so appealing. Hot foods release more aromatic compounds than cold foods, which is why fried food is most irresistible right out of the fryer. Research from the University of Leeds showed that food temperature affects not just aroma, but also how we perceive texture and flavor intensity. Hot fried food has that perfect combination of maximum aroma, release, and optimal texture. As it cools, the coating gets soggy as it absorbs moisture from the air and from the food itself, and those aromatic compounds dissipate. This is why leftover fried food never quite hits the same way. But there's also a psychological component here. A study in the Journal of Consumer Psychology found that hot food is perceived as fresher and more carefully prepared, triggering stronger cravings and more pleasure during eating. Your brain is making all these calculations in milliseconds, deciding that this hot, crispy, fragrant fried food is exactly what you want right now. The modern problem. So here's where we need to address the elephant in the room. All of these mechanisms that make fried food irresistible evolved in an environment where high-calorie, high-fat foods were rare. Our ancestors might encounter something energy-dense once a week, maybe once a month. Now we live in a world where fried food is available 24/7 on every corner. The World Health Organization estimates that globally, over 1.9 billion adults are overweight, and fried food consumption is a significant contributor. Studies have linked frequent fried food consumption to increased risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and certain cancers. One large study published in the British Medical Journal found that people who ate fried food 4 or more times per week had a significantly higher risk of obesity and cardiovascular disease, compared to those who ate it less than once a week. But understanding why we crave it so intensely actually helps, because it removes the guilt and shame. You're not weak for wanting fried food. You're experiencing normal biological responses that served our species well for millions of years. They just don't serve us quite as well. In a modern environment with unlimited access, the science behind why fried food tastes so good is incredibly complex, involving everything from evolutionary biology to chemistry to neuroscience. Your brain is responding to texture, fat content, aromatic compounds, salt, temperature, and countless other factors all at once, creating this perfect storm of deliciousness that's almost impossible to resist. If you found this deep dive into food science as fascinating as I do, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're constantly exploring the why behind everyday experiences, breaking down the science that explains how we interact with the world around us. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you catch the next video. Thanks for watching, and the next time you're enjoying some fried food, at least you'll know exactly why it tastes so ridiculously good. See you next time!